already have a Stuart Waltman who signed up to speak. What are our numbers now? At 98?
We're at 76.
I have 99, 100.
100.
That includes the panelists.
I have 104.
Good.
Getting there.
We're breaking the thermometer, huh?
So, shall we get this started?
Yes.
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the County of Los Angeles Citizens Redistricting Commission Public Hearing Number 3 on draft map options. Today is December 1st, 2021, and the time is 6:32. We are now calling a special meeting and public hearing to order. For this hearing, we have available interpretation services. For those who are joining via Zoom, please select your preferred language by clicking on the interpretation button at the bottom of your screen, which is a globe icon. Select English or Spanish. You then can choose to mute the original audio for clearer interpretation. If you do not choose a language, you will not hear the interpretation. As a reminder to the public, this public hearing is being recorded and live streamed to youtube.com/LA County Redistricting. The link recording will also be posted and accessible to the Los Angeles County Redistricting website. If at any time members of the public have technical difficulties, please let us know in the Q&A and we can work towards fixing the issue. The Q&A is at the bottom of your screen. We also would request your patience. I wanted to introduce to the commission and to the public the fact that Ty Bigley is unavailable. He's normally our clerk and our GIS guru who can run these meetings very efficiently in terms of technology. Charlotte Moore and Heather Sims are filling in for Ty, and they're both vice presidents with Page Consulting Group. They'll be handling the public comment portion of this meeting. And with that, we will take roll call. I will take roll call, calling the commissioners' names in rotating order, alphabetical by last name. So commissioners, please be prepared to unmute your mic and respond when your name is called. Co-Chair Daniel Maeda.
Aye. Present.
Commissioner Mark Mendoza.
Present.
Commissioner Apollonio Morales.
Present.
Commissioner Nelson Obregon.
Present.
Commissioner Priscilla Orpanella Segura.
Present.
Commissioner Jaila Soto.
Present.
Commissioner Syra Soto.
Present.
Commissioner Brian Stetcher.
Present.
Commissioner John Bento.
Present.
Co-Chair Carolyn Williams.
Present.
Commissioner Dorita Wong.
Present.
Commissioner Jean Franklin.
Present.
Commissioner David Holtzman.
Present.
And Commissioner Mary Penny.
Here.
All are present. We have a quorum. So a few notes before I turn the meeting over to Co-Chair Williams. I wanted to let the public know that we very much are dedicated to receiving all public comment on draft map options, either orally or written. The commission will receive oral public comment from anyone who submits a request to speak by 8:00 p.m. via the QA function. If you are interested in making a live public comment, you may submit in the Q&A your name, your affiliated organization, if any, and that you would like to make a public comment. It would also be helpful if you would indicate if you would like to make your public comment in Spanish, so we can adjust the amount of time from 1 minute to 2 minutes to allow for interpretation. When you are called upon to make your public comment, you'll be prompted to unmute your mic so you can speak. If you are participating by phone, you have to press *9 to raise your hand. Once called upon, press *6 to unmute and speak. Each person will have an opportunity to speak for 1 minute per discussion agenda item. When you begin making your comment, please share your name and any affiliation you may have. So again, the Q&A is there for members of the public if you want to sign up to make a live public comment. We also have the ability to do the written public comments on the form is shown here, and I'll walk you through that as well. You can also make additional comments if you don't feel you've been able to cover everything during your oral comment. You will find the link. Charlotte Moore will be posting that periodically throughout the meeting, so you can use that to access this form. And I'm going to show you how the form works. And I apologize, I had it open and it's now closed. There we go. So if you go to our website, you'll see a place that says submit comments for meetings and public hearings. You click that on, this form appears. And you'll fill in your name, your email, your phone number, address if you want to, the organization you represent. The 2 items with red stars are necessary in order for you to make a public comment. You can also then attach, if you have a letter or any documents, sample maps, you can attach it to the form. If you scroll further down, you're going to see the agenda items are all placed there. So you can say, I want to talk about just the maps in general, or very specifically option B2, F1, or map G. You then have to type in this code to prove you're a human. And once you do that, you can hit next. And it didn't work because I have this other bar. You would hit next. I guess I have to put the code in. And I have to put a name in, so give me a sec. This is why we normally love having Ty here, who takes care of all of this, right? So you're filling in with me. And once those are in, they give me a new code. This is a good way to show how it doesn't work.
You have to also select the agenda item.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm trying to go too fast. So why is it not working?
You have to select in favor, oppose, or other.
Got it. You all are doing good tutorials. And then you confirm all of the information, and then you acknowledge. You have to click the acknowledge or we will not receive it. So I'm used to going through hundreds of these written forms, but have not filled out a form myself. So thank you all for coaching me as we worked our way through that. Going back then to the overview of the meeting. Basically, this is to summarize. The commission is dedicated to receive all public comments on draft map options, either orally or written. If you do not want to make an oral comment, the commission reads every written comment submitted. Again, if you want to speak and make an oral statement, you must sign up in the QA by 8 o'clock tonight. Yeah. If you're not able to present your public comment orally, again, we encourage you to use the written comment form that I awkwardly walked you all through. And the link will be periodically posted in the website. So Charlotte will be monitoring the time and posting this information. Heather will be calling the various people to speak. So a couple of helpful hints. As a reminder to those who are making public comments this evening, all oral public comments will be through audio only. There will be no sharing of the video option. Again, members of the public are encouraged to submit a public comment even if they are making public oral comments. We like to have both. If you fill out the written form, don't assume you'll be making an oral comment. You will only make an oral comment if you raise your hand. So the nice thing about the form is you can indicate your position. As you saw, you put in favor, opposed, and you can add text to explain why you're in favor of it, or any modifications. And let me just emphasize, this is our third public hearing. The more you can be precise about what modifications you would like made to the maps, that will be most helpful to the commission. Just saying you are in favor of this map and you dislike the other map doesn't really help the commission as much as you say, could you move the boundary to this street? Could you combine these two communities of interest together? That is the most valued, particularly oral and written comments you could provide. And with that, I will now turn the agenda over to Co-Chair Williams.
Thank you, Gayla. In terms of the agenda, it is approved since there are no changes. And from there, we will move to action item 4.
I would like to suggest a change to the agenda.
Okay, Commissioner Holtzman?
So the agenda is very confusing, in several ways. It has a hearing and a business item wrapped up in one agenda item. The agenda says there's 2 draft maps for the public hearing, which is wrong in 2 ways. One, the public hearing is not just on draft maps. Public hearings during the public hearing period are on anything within the commission's jurisdiction, including other maps that have been posted on the website. So, second of all, the agenda does not conform. The text of that agenda item does not conform to the amendment to the agenda that was made, which it should have been done. But mainly, the problem I have with it is that it is combining a hearing and a business item when the 2 should be separate. And I see that co-chairs Maeda and William are listed together as running this part of the meeting, so I would suggest we bifurcate that piece of the agenda and have the hearing first under one of the co-chairs, and then discussion of map options or whatever that the commissioners want to do under the second part. The San Diego Commission, I should add, is very clear in separating hearing from business meetings. And this jumble isn't very helpful. It is an extra hearing we're having today. We're only required to have 2, basically our first and fourth scheduled hearings. So, I don't think we could be dinged for not having properly noticed the public hearing in this way, but I do think we should have 2 things. One, the hearing, and then the business items. The hearing will be for comments pretty much on anything under the commission's jurisdiction, especially mapping. And then the business item will be the consideration of the map options that the commission has asked for additional public comment on. So that's my suggestion for change the agenda.
Co-Chair Maeda.
Yeah, the agenda item 4A, and you're right, Commissioner Holtzman, it does talk about 2 draft maps because that was the original agenda item that was posted. You'll see below that amended because we did amend that agenda item to indicate that we also want to talk to the public. We want the public to talk to us about 3 additional map options. And so that's now an accurate agenda item. Second, with regards to business of the commission, there may be time, there may or may not be time tonight for the commission to react to the what we hear at the public hearing. But this is a form in which we have conducted a public hearing, heard from the public, and then reacted to it. And Holly has approved this format for the agenda, and I think we should stick with it.
Holly, I see you unmuted. Did you want to add any more?
Yeah, I was just going to add that the description of a public hearing followed by potential discussion from the commission as one item does comply with the Brown Act.
Okay. Any other comments? So we shall move ahead based on comments from our legal advisor, Holly Wiley, that this is the agenda to move ahead as approved. Thank you.
Let me just ask if there needs to be a separate public comment period after the hearing and before the consideration of business items.
No, the public hearing is the time for people to make public comments on it. If we created a separate agenda item, we would have a public hearing, and then we would have to have public comment on the second. We'd have to provide opportunity for public comment before picking up that discussion. So we would have 2 rounds of public comment. This way, it's 1 round of public comment. It does comply with the Brown Act to conduct business regarding within the scope of what the public hearing is about, which in this case is maps.
No, I would just suggest that 2 rounds would be more appropriate, but if you want to do it this way, go right ahead.
Well, thank you. We shall move forward.
Before we get to the public comments, I just want to mention that several of the attendees are trying to put in the chat function of Zoom that they want to speak. They need to actually move that to the Q&A section. So if you want to speak and you've just indicated so in the chat, that is not sufficient. Please go to the Q&A section and indicate the agenda item you wish to speak on and then you wish to speak.
I have a couple of overview slides so everybody knows what maps we're talking about. And I also have information from Arcbridge about any remaining cities or unincorporated areas that are split. So if it's all right, I will just run through those quickly before we start the public comment.
Again, the public hearing is not supposed to be limited to just 2 map options, or 3 map 5. So the public should know that it's allowed to comment on anything within the jurisdiction of the commission or other maps during the public hearing.
So what was posted 7 days ago were basically map options B1 and map F. And then when you had the special meeting, it was a result of an ad hoc working group that reported out at a special meeting on Monday that did further refinements to each of these maps. Result is now the option map B1, that was B2. And the primary change, so the public knows this, was an effort to keep cities and unincorporated areas together. When you look now at the revised option map F, there's now a map option F1, and it's the same thing. The ad hoc working group did their best efforts to look at all the cities and unincorporated areas that were around the edges that were split between 2 supersoil districts and bring them together. The discussion around map option F led to a 3rd map, which we labeled as option G because it's significantly different enough. And the primary focus here, when you look at it, are some changes that have occurred around the edges, but also extending subsoil district 2 to the Pacific Ocean and having 3 subsoil district areas that basically touch the Pacific Ocean. And some other changes around the northern edge of the San Fernando Valley. So I want to give those as a context. I wanted to mention also for the public, these are some fixes that we can continue making. On option B2, there remain 2 areas that show that they are split. One is Longwood in the city of Los Angeles, and the other area is the unincorporated Covina area called Charter Oak. In F1, there are a few more. Westchester is split, Covina, the Charter Oak area, Covina, Miracle Mile, and Northeast San Gabriel. So if any members of the public, and there's some more on this one, which I will point out. This is for map G, again, Covina, Charter Oak, and Northeast San Gabriel. So if anyone in the public are there from any of these areas, it would be helpful to know which supersoil district you might like to be a part of. And with that, we can turn this on over. We have Pretty Mather here from Arcbridge, and she's available if you need any map share. So with that, shall we start following up? I see we have 83 people, I believe, have signed up for Q&A.
Yes.
Yes.
The public hearing is now open.
So Heather, you can call on the first one.
Okay, first up is Stuart Waldman. Let me find you. I'm going to allow you to talk now. You can unmute.
Thank you, Commissioners. I'm calling in regards to map G. I know there were some changes made last week, or a couple days ago, to adjust for population. I'd like to see Sylmar added back in, as it is a largely Hispanic area, very similar to San Fernando and Arleta and Pacoima. I'd like to keep those areas together. And then in looking at the map in more detail, I noticed that there were several neighborhood councils that were cut up, like the Granada Hills South Neighborhood Council, Northridge West Neighborhood Council, and Chatsworth Neighborhood Council. So if you do the overlay, you can actually take the population of those neighborhood councils, put them into council district, supervisorial district 5, and then a few other areas where there's some straggling pieces where you're actually going to have to break up the precinct, but that would get you to district 5 being under 101,000, negative 101,000, but would hit the population requirements.
Okay, next up will be Amy Wong.
Sorry, I have a question for Mr. Waltman.
As do
A
I.
reaction.
Okay.
Mr. Waltman, two things. One, thank you for providing the shapefile to up the San Fernando Valley to help us calculate how much of the valley is in a particular district. And my second question is if you've seen map 76, which was posted last night and has a district that's 67.75% valley residents.
I did not get a chance to look at map 76, but I'm pulling it up right now. Sorry, I get to deal with the state commission all day and spend my evenings with all of you. Let me see.
Commissioner Stetcher, go ahead and ask your question.
I also wanted to ask Stuart if he could repeat, besides the southern portions of Granada Hills and Chatsworth, what was the other segment he was suggesting?
It was Northridge West. So you'll need the neighborhood council overlay, which will allow you to see those lines. And in some cases, you'll have to actually break the precinct to go block by block. So it's Granada Hills South Neighborhood Council, Northridge West, and Chatsworth, all going into District 5, and then you'll be able to put Sylmar back into District 3. And then again, as I mentioned, there's some straggling pieces of population throughout the districts in the valley that just need to be put in, kept whole. And Commissioner Holtzman, in looking at that district, it looks fairly compact and very interesting. I would have to download it to really be able to take a look and play around with it to see. I obviously can't see the neighborhood council lines right now.
We need to move on so we can get more public comment in, but Stuart, that'd be great if you could provide that information. We'll make sure.
Mr. Stetcher, do you have another clarification? Or
No, that was the only one. I just
okay.
couldn't write.
Thank you. Let's move
All
on
right,
to
thank
the
you
next.
all. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Heather, it'd be helpful when you call up Amy Wong that we let Liz Garcia, that she's next on the list so she can get ready.
Yes, I was about to do that. So Amy Wong, I'm about to click you on, and Liz Garcia will be next. Amy, you will have 1 minute to comment as soon as you begin talking.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Great, my internet's a little shaky, so bear with me. Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Amy Wong. I work for Active Sangerville Valley, a nonprofit dedicated to creating a more sustainable, equitable, and livable region. We urge you to support F1 with modifications. Number 1, please move Arcadia and Temple City into SD1 to keep our API communities in the West Sangerville Valley together. Number 2, move Lombard, Roland Heights to SD4 so that keeps our API community in the East Sangerville Valley together. And number 3, please move Montebello and Pico Rivera into SD1 to increase the Latinx CVAP. Please support F1 with the recommended changes and reject maps B and G. Map B only has 2 districts where communities of color are able to elect a candidate of their choice, And Map G pairs Black and Brown communities in South LA with wealthy mansion owners in Palos Verdes, Hermosa Beach, and Manhattan Beach. Thank you.
So Liz Garcia, you're about to be up. Isabel Gonzalez, you will be next. So Liz, you have 1 minute when you begin talking.
Liz, you will need to unmute yourself. Liz, there should be a little icon in your upper right-hand corner which says mute, unmute. If you press that, we can hear you speak.
Hi, I'm calling in support of map E1. Thank you so much.
Okay, going to pull up Isabel Gonzalez. Adele Andrade Stadler will be next. Isabel, you'll have 1 minute when you begin to talk.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Isabel Gonzalez, and I am a community organizer in Supervisorial District 1. It was important to me to call this evening to show support for MAP F1. MAP F1 is the best based map, and I'm confident that with some slight changes, it can be a map that properly takes into account communities of interest in S1. The cities of Pico Rivera, Montebello, Commerce, all are East Side communities like East LA, and they need to be kept in Supervisorial District 1 to offer proper representation of the Latino community of the East Side and our interests. Our communities are very similar. We share a common heritage, culture, customs. Our families are made up of predominantly Latin immigrant, low-income residents. These aspects of our identity impact our shopping as we purchase similar food products, celebrate and purchase items based on similar cultural practices, and approach joining the workforce with similar cultural values that we embrace in our homes, that are working hard, working collaboratively, and supporting our communities so that together we can create strong families, homes, and communities. I urge the Commission to support the
Liz, did you mean to unmute? You were just at the 1 minute mark. I would suggest we go ahead then with the next speaker.
And Adele, you'll be coming up next. After Adele will be Dr. Regina Smith. Pull up Adele. I'm allowing you to talk. You have 1 minute.
Good evening. My name is Adele Andrade Stadler, and I'm from Alhambra. First, I want to thank the commissioners for your months of hard work. I'm calling in full support of MAP Option G. Thank you for listening to all the feedback about the San Gabriel Valley communities wanting to stress the diversity and not lumping us together in one district. We support 2 supervisorial seats. MAP G is most representative of communities that are middle income and immigrant communities within the San Gabriel Valley. We would like that to be a part of them as well. Please consider the income differences of the San Gabriel Valley when making your differences. Thank you very much and have a great evening. And I'm going to try and use all this time. Please, MAP G, please look at it very closely. Thank you very much. 2 for the price of 1.
Thank you, Adele. Pulling out Dr. Regina Smith next. Joe V, you will be after Dr. Smith. You have 1 minute when you begin to speak, Dr. Regina Smith.
Good evening, Commissioners. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. My name is Dr. Regina Smith, and I am a resident of the 2nd District for many, many years. My family has been a resident over 60 years in the 2nd District. And I just want you to know that I strongly support option F1. I want to keep all of the LA South Bay communities together. And option G, I support with making modifications of including Cal State Dominguez Hills and Carson in option G. I think it's a great idea to make sure that LAX is part of that community because that community impacts so many things in South LA. Gardena, Carson, having the LAX, the pathway for the airline, the airports and the airlines. I think it's really important because that impacts our community in terms of noise pollution and other things. So thank you so very much.
Very much. Joe V. The comments next. Next up after Joe will be Mike Gomez. So Joe V, you have 1 minute when you begin to speak.
Good evening. I'm Mayor Joe Vinatieri from the city of Whittier, and I too appreciate all the work that you've all done as we've been watching what you've done for so long now. I'm here to support map G, and our view here from the southeast area of the county relates to the gateway cities and the fact that we've been working together for a long time, and we have so many issues that are going on with the gateway cities. We want to make sure we're in a position that we're not split apart and that we continue to have the ability to work together, not only for purposes of the County Board of Supervisors, but also this has bleed-off effects with Metro. So it's our view that G does the best job for us in making sure that our end of the county is cohesive and stays together as a community of interest. Thank you.
So much.
Hi, I do have a question for Mayor Joe B. If you can explain what which the gateway cities are so that everyone is on the same page.
Sure. The gateway cities are those cities basically along the 605 freeway on our end of the county, starting down in the Long Beach area and to some extent the 605 and the 710, and goes up north to the Whittier Hills, the Puente Hills, and the like. And these are a very diverse group of cities. You have some cities that are small in population, others that are larger, and we're in the southeast area of the county.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We now have Mike Gomez. Following Mike, Rosalind Warren, you can prepare your comment. So Mike Gomez, you have 1 minute.
Good evening, commissioners. My name is Mike Gomez and I live in the city of El Monte. I've been a resident here for over 35 years. I'm here to support tonight map option G. I feel that map option G is the map that most represents our city of El Monte and our surrounding communities. It keeps together our low and income, middle income immigrant communities and neighborhoods in the San Gabriel Valley. We all know that working class communities don't share a lot of common interests with other wealthier parts of San Gabriel Valley. The average yearly income of a family of four in the city of El Monte is $40,000. Vastly different, I dare say, than a family of four in Pasadena. Please always consider the income differences when making your decisions. Redistricting can empower or dilute the voting power of our communities. Again, I am in full support of map option G, and I want to thank you for acknowledging the differences in our cities and for all of your hard work and for not putting us all together in one district. Thank you again. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you very much. We have Rosalind Warren coming up now. Following Rosalind will be Reggie Clark. So Rosalind, you'll have 1 minute when you begin to speak.
Good evening. My name is Roslyn Warren, and I live in Silver Lake. And I'm calling in for public comment to express my opposition to Map B2 and my support of Map G. From my understanding, Map B2 splits Northeast LA. It removes my area, Silver Lake, from areas that are historically connected to it, like Eagle Rock and Glassell Park and Highland Park. Map G keeps us all together and protects our ability to advocate for things that are of common interest: environmental justice, housing, transportation, and other issues. Thank you for everything that you're doing to help create a map option that works well for everyone, and that is my comment.
Thank you, Roslyn. Reggie, I'll be pulling you up momentarily. Stephen Ortega, you will be next. Reggie may have left. So Stephen, I will pull you up. Stephen Ortega, you have 1 minute when you begin to speak.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, good evening, commissioners. My name is Stephen Ortega, and I'm a former resident of Supervisorial District 1 in East Los Angeles. I urge the commissioners to now consider Map B2. The East Side is filled with love, resiliency, and culture, which is similar to Commerce, Montebello, and Pico Rivera, in which they should be kept in Supervisorial District 1. It's super important to make maps which maintain communities of interest together. I urge commissioners to not vote or even consider Map B2, in which it packs the Black community of South LA and the Latinx community in Southeast LA into one district, which reduces their ability to have more representation at the county level. District 2 in the map does not include Carson and Hawthorne, which have historically been part of South LA community. Lastly, Map B2 has 3 districts where the white population has the highest CVAP. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. I'm going to have Jesse Salcedo next. Following Jesse will be Chris Rowe. So Jesse, you have 1 minute. Why don't you begin to speak?
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yes, my name is Jesse Salcedo. I'm a resident homeowner here in Eagle Rock neighborhood of LA, and I'm also an active member of the Eagle Rock Neighborhood Council. First, thank you to commissioners and staff for your efforts and for engaging our city neighborhood councils. I'm calling to oppose Map B2 and support Map G. As you've heard earlier, Map B2 splits the Northeast LA region, specifically removing Silver Lake Echo Park from our Supervisor District 1. And just wanted to mention, during my time with the RNC over the past 8 years, there's been enhanced communication and collaboration between our communities, neighborhood councils in particular. And I just want to stress the fact and urge you to please keep our region whole and protect our ability to advocate on a wide variety of issues. Please keep the LA communities together and adopt Map G. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you, Jesse. So Chris, I will be pulling you up. Chris Rowe momentarily. John Mora, you will be next up. Chris, you have 1 minute.
Can you hear me?
Chris, yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, I was on the telephone as well and I had to turn on my speaker. I want to make it very clear, I disagree with Stuart Waldman. I believe the San Fernando Valley needs to be completely whole and include the northern portion. Commissioner Holtzman, I looked at your map and I absolutely, you're dividing our map. You worked for the Air Quality Management District. The Porter Ranch, Aliso Canyon impacted all of San Fernando Valley. On Canoga Park High, a mile from me, we have sensors for that. We need someone that lives in the valley, a representative, a supervisor that experiences whether it's a Northridge earthquake, an Aliso Canyon explosion, or whatever disaster it might be, a Woolsey fire or whatever. We need representation in the valley. Take away Santa Monica, take away the flats of Beverly Hills. Thank you so much for your time.
I have just a quick response to that. My map 76 does include Canoga Park, partly in response to Ms. Rowe's comments, in the same district as Aliso Canyon.
Can I respond to that?
Co-chair, are you going to allow her to respond or should we move on?
A very quick response, please.
Chris, you can respond quickly.
Commissioner, we need to be Holtzman and all of you commissioners. I respect all of you. We need to be the valley that's whole. These other people speak about their communities of interest, whether it's Metro, whether it's the Orange Line from the San Fernando Valley that starts at Chatsworth and goes down and catches the river.
That's fine. That is not actually responsive, but that's fine. Let's move on, please.
John Mora, you're up momentarily. Kevin Jackson will follow Mr. Mora. John, you have 1 minute to speak once you begin.
Okay, good evening, commissioners. Thank you so much for all the hard work that you do. And yeah, it's been a tough time, but yeah, I really appreciate everything you do. But I would like to express my support for Map G. As gateway cities, we're much more likely aligned with our neighbors in Long Beach than any other eastern cities. The gateway cities should all be kept together. I believe that trifurcating them into multiple districts like in B2 is not a good solution. Business organizations in all these cities work together to lobby MTA for projects like the West Santa Ana branch to separate us hampers our ability to provide a better life for our constituents. Just similarly here in Whittier, we share a school district, a Whittier police, and we have a great working relationship with all of our surrounding cities. So please, I would appreciate you really considering this Map G, and I thank you for your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John.
Commissioner Holtzman has his hand up.
Commissioner Holtzman?
Okay, it was a mistake. Okay, move on. We have a lot of comments, 105.
Yes. Okay, Kevin Jackson, you're about to be up. Following Kevin will be Paul Krikorian, the LA City Council member. So Kevin, you have 1 minute to speak once you begin. You're up, Kevin.
Okay, good evening, commissioners. My name is Kevin Jackson, and I'm the Deputy City Manager for the City of Long Beach. I'm calling tonight to thank you for working to keep Long Beach in a single supervisory district. The city has submitted 2 letters and provided public comment to emphasize the importance of unifying Long Beach in one district. We benefited from previous redistricting cycles that have kept Long Beach in a single county district. We also have a diverse coalition of advocating to keep Long Beach together, comprised of economic and business leaders, community nonprofits, arts organizations, and our LBGT community and more. Each of the maps under consideration tonight by the Commission will keep Long Beach unified in one district. And we just want to thank you for listening to Long Beach and for your leadership throughout the process. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Paul Krikorian, Council Member, LA City. You can begin this, when you begin to speak, you'll have 1 minute. I have Stephen Ortega next, or Stephen Ortega will be next. So, Council Member, you can begin, have 1 minute.
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners, and thank you for your commitment to this very important and very difficult work. I'm a 3rd generation resident of the San Fernando Valley. I've had the pleasure of representing the Valley for 15 years. And I want to really urge you to consider consolidating the Valley more than we have in the maps before us. The Valley has, for the last century, had a distinctive identity, and today we have distinctive issues around public transportation planning, air quality, water quality, public health, housing, all issues that the Valley as a whole has common interests in. And yet we don't have any guarantee that a resident of the Valley, despite having 2 million people living here, will have a representative on the Board of Supervisors or on the Metro Board. So I'd really urge you to look at map 78, which is a variation of map G that keeps the Valley whole and still provides a tremendous opportunity for diversity in the board and guarantees a Valley representative.
Thank you.
I have a question for the council member. Can you be specific regarding the borders or the geographical boundaries that you are talking about regarding consolidating the Valley?
Yes, map 78 that you have before you does that, but I think as a general matter, people in the Valley think of themselves as bordered by the mountains that surround us, as well as the communities of Burbank and Glendale off to the east. So in terms of particular streets or precincts, those would be included in the draft map that we have before you in map 78.
Okay, so you're also talking about Burbank and Glendale being included, or they are listed as on the border that you're talking about and not being included in the Valley?
Yes, Commissioner. In different contexts, the cities of Burbank and Glendale may or may not consider themselves part of the Valley. I was previously chair of the San Fernando Valley Council of Governments. Burbank and Glendale are both included in the COG, and I think all of the policy issues that I described to you a moment ago, certainly transportation planning, housing issues, air quality, and so forth, Burbank and Glendale very much consider themselves to be communities of common interest with the rest of the San Fernando Valley.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Krikorian, nice to hear from you. I just wanted to urge you to have a look at map 76 that I submitted, and note that it does have a district that's over 2/3 that consists of which over 2/3 of the population consists of Valley residents, which would increase the chance of electing a Valley resident to the Board of Supervisors. Also did want to point out that Stuart Waldman, in addition to saying that he would be fine with a big majority district, not necessarily the entire Valley, did submit a report on the demographics of the Valley, which in my reading supports separating out the West Valley from more of the Central Valley and the Eastern Valley, like map 76 does, and actually connecting it up to Sylmar and things like that.
Commissioner Holtzman, I really would like to make sure we get as many people as possible to submit their public comments.
This was special for the council. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate it. I will have a look at that. In my view, the Valley thinks of itself as the Valley. West Valley, East Valley, central part of the Valley, the north part of the Valley. We have common interests.
Point taken, Councilman. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair Maeda.
Thank you. Okay, we have Stephen Ortega coming up next. Following Stephen,
you can confirm, Heather, that that's a different Stephen Ortega than the Stephen Ortega who spoke earlier. I believe we already have them, but you'll have to check the icon to make sure it's not two individuals with the same name.
Sure.
I believe we've already heard from him.
Yeah. So we have Erica Jimenez. You can prepare it for your speaking time. Following Erica will be Raina Schmitz. So Erica, You have 1 minute once you begin to speak.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, hello, my name is Erica Jimenez and I live in Boyle Heights. I am asking that Supervisorial District 1 remain intact. And the best base map at the time is map F1. I have to uplift that we need to have a supervisorial district that is representative of our Latinx communities in Los Angeles County. I would also go as further as to adding that Pico Rivera and Montebello be added to supervisorial district 1. As a resident of Boyle Heights, I find both of these communities similar to our Latinx communities who are Spanish speaking and working class. Since a young age, I have memories of taking the bus to the shops of Montebello, which is the Montebello Mall, and going to the Montebello Mall AMC movie theaters. Commissioners, I urge you to not consider map B2, as map B2 packs the Latinx community in Southeast LA and it reduces the Latinx representation at the county level when we shouldn't be reducing the representation of the Latinx community because Los Angeles County does have a high population of the Latinx community. Thank you.
Thank you, Erica. Next, we have Raina Schmitz. Following Raina will be Shakina Leocares. So, Raina, you have 1 minute once you begin to talk.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
There's some feedback.
Yes. I'm expressing my support for map G and opposing to map B2 and F1. I'm a 35-year resident of the unincorporated Valinda and participate in school boards and community support projects such as food banks and support for the UC hospitals. We need to keep the low and middle income areas of San Gabriel Valley in a unified boundary of common interest. Please support map G as it is the best option for the San Gabriel Valley residents that covers our cultures, language, and many interests. Please support this, and thank you so much for your hard work to all of you commissioners. Thank you very much. And again, I'm in support of map G. Thank you.
Thank you, Raina. Shakina Leocares is next. Following Shakina will be Ethel Gardner. Doesn't look like Shakina's still with us. Okay, looks like Shakina has left. So Ethel Gardner, I'm going to pull you up. Following Ethel will be Sandra Guzman. Oh, I don't have Ethel either. Ethel has left the building as well. Sandra Guzman, I'll pull you up, hopefully. Following Sandra will be DM Ha. So Sandra, you have 1 minute once you begin to speak.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Sandra Guzman, and I am a Supervisory District 1 resident community leader. Today, I've come to show my support for map F1, which is the only map that relates to us, though with some changes. District 1 must be occupied by Commerce, Montebello, and Pico Rivera. It's vital that we keep pushing forward with the map setting communities of interest. Oversight, District 1 has historically been a low-income Latino-dominated neighborhood with a strong cultural ties and immigrant roots. I ask the Commission not to see map B2 as this in guide of light of the fact that it bunches the African-American population in South Los Angeles and the Latino people group in Southeast Los Angeles into a solitary region, decreasing its capacity to have more portrayal at the province level. Thank you for taking your time to hear what I'm saying.
Thank you, Sandra. I'm pulling up DM Ha. Following DM will be Michelle Aranda Cas. DM, once you begin to speak, you will have 1 minute. Go right ahead.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm from Pomona, and I'm calling to support map option G. I appreciate the Commission's efforts to keep Pomona in the 1st District, and I'm also opposed to map B because I believe it places Pomona in a district that doesn't reflect its interest. Thank you so much for your consideration.
Thank you, Dean. Michelle Aranda Kass will be up next. Following Michelle will be Martin Castro. Michelle, you have 1 minute once you begin to speak.
Hello, Commissioners. My name is Michelle Aranda Cos, and I'm a stakeholder of Supervisorial District 1. I want to state that map F1 is the best base map currently. With some modifications, it can be the map that takes into account communities of interest, and I'm here to advocate for communities such as Commerce, Montebello, and Pico Rivera to remain under District 1, as they are very similar to the East Side, where all our communities are predominantly vibrant and full of culture. Supervisorial District 1 is largely Latinx, and we must ensure our Latinx representation is not diluted, and instead ensure strong Latinx and BIPOC representation. Therefore, I ask the Commission not to vote on map B2 because packing the communities of South LA and Southeast LA reduces their ability to have representation at the county level. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Martin Castro is up next.
On regional and citywide issues, I thank you for your consideration.
I have a question. I just wanted to be clear. You said option BG. Are you saying map B and map G? Or?
No, I'm sorry, ma'am. Map G.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the clarification.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Heather, it's hard to understand if the person CSTERNQUIST wants to speak. They just put the word no.
I know, that's why I didn't. I can pull them up and see if they would.
Okay.
Look, CSTERNQUIST. I'm going to allow you to talk. If you have something to say, we're not clear.
And if you can provide your name. Is the last name Sternquist?
Yes. Good evening. My name is Cynthia Sternquist. I am Mayor Pro Tem for the City of Temple City, and I am calling to ask the Commission to respectfully consider map G as the map of choice. Temple City has worked diligently with its neighboring cities, Arcadia, and the other cities in the 5th District. Temple City understands that our city is not a silo. We work together and have worked the past 10 years to develop these relationships. And we so much would, feel that all that work was for naught if we were not able to continue working in collaboration with those cities in the 5th District. I received about 25 phone calls from technically challenged seniors in the city of Temple City who urged me to call into the meeting tonight to represent them also. So I would urge the Commission to vote for map G, and I thank you for all your dedication and hard work. Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia. So Yolanda, you're now up. I'll pull you up in just a second. Ann Lee will follow Yolanda. Have a Yolanda Martinez. Oh, I found you. Yolanda Murrieta, you have 1 minute once you begin to speak.
Buenas noches, comisionados. Soy la señora Murrieta, líder comunitaria y residente del Distrito Supervisorial 1, y he vivido en Boyle Heights por más de 25 años. Hoy he llegado a apoyar el mapa F1 porque creo que este mapa representa mejor a nuestra comunidad. El mapa F1, sin embargo, necesita tener unos cambios y traer a las comunidades de Pico Rivera, Montebello y Commerce. Estas comunidades necesitan estar unidas porque somos similares a nuestras comunidades unos nos une la cultura, el arte, los mercados, la comida y nuestras tradiciones. Y a todas estas comunidades nos afectan los mismos problemas que son la falta de vivienda accesible y de bajo precio. Necesitamos estar unidas porque así podemos luchar por hacer cambios en la comunidad y que nuestras familias tengan los recursos necesarios. Animo a la comisión a no escoger el mapa B2 porque este agrupa a la población afroamericana en el sur de Los Ángeles y el grupo de personas latinas en el sur de Los Ángeles, en lugar solitario, disminuyendo su capacidad para tener más representación a nivel del área. Muchas gracias por tomarse el tiempo para considerar lo que los estoy solicitando. Pasen buenas noches.
I have a question. Are you requesting that Pico Rivera and Montebello remain in Supervisory District 1? You mentioned another community as well. So the only two that I caught was Pico Rivera and Montebello. Was there another?
Can we ask Yolanda to unmute? She's muted herself. There we go.
Deseo que la ciudad de Commerce, Montebello y Pico Rivera estén en el mapa 1.
All right.
El distrito 1. Gracias.
Okay. Thank you.
While Heather is getting the next person lined up, I do want the public to know that if you do not get signed up by 8 o'clock to make a public comment, you can still continue to submit written comments throughout the meeting using the form we showed at the beginning, or for subsequent meetings going forward, and everything will be read.
Thank you. Ann Lee is about to be up. Following Ann will be Christian Cardenas. So Ann, you have 1 minute once you begin to speak.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Ann Lei, and I'm calling on behalf of the Little Tokyo Service Center. We oppose maps B2 and G because they both split Asian American communities of interest in the Metro LA area into 3 supervisorial districts, and also have negative impacts on the Latinx and Black communities. Map B2 also has a negative impact for our Tongan sisters and brothers in Hawthorne and Lenox. Little Tokyo Service Center supports Map F1, which keeps Little Tokyo whole, but we want amendments that would strengthen the shared interests of Asian American, Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander, Latinx, and Black communities. These amendments include some recommendations that others have already have highlighted, but I want to emphasize that we want to shift the border between SD1 and SD3 to make Thai-town whole, and extend the border of SD2 to keep Koreatown whole. From a personal perspective, as a former lifetime or longtime resident of Montebello, I also support redrawing Montebello and Pico Rivera to be a part of SB1 for all the reasons stated by previous callers. Thank you so much for all your time and efforts in this very complicated process.
Thank you, Ann.
Can I ask Anne a question? I think she was talking so fast. So, Leslie, can you say again, you oppose B and G but support F1?
Yes, correct. So, so both B2 and G split the Asian American communities of interest in the Metro LA area into 3 different supervisorial districts. I think if we look at, for instance, Little Tokyo, Chinatown, and Thai-town, I think a lot of, and historic Filipino town, those communities of interest, like we have shared communities of interest. So both those maps divide our respective Asian American and Asian ethnic enclaves. So we support F1, but with the amendments that that would shift the border to keep Thai-town whole and also to keep Koreatown whole.
But you're saying that F1 does keep those other communities of interest together? Right?
No, I think we support F1 with those amendments that I stated.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I see another hand raised, so I don't know if there's another question.
Commissioner Saida-Soto.
Thank you, Ms. Ann. Just to further elaborate on your recommendation around Hightown and K-Town, keeping them whole, are you also suggesting that they be kept in the same district?
So I think we're okay with Koreatown being an SD2 as long as it's kept whole. I think our primary interest would be to keep these ethnic enclaves whole, but to the extent that they can be included in like a cluster with other Asian American or Asian ethnic enclaves, that would be ideal. And so F1 with these amendments, I think would help us facilitate that.
Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And if you, I'm sorry, Commissioner Franklin.
Yes, just to be clear, understand that you want to keep Little Tokyo, Thai-town, and Koreatown whole and together, but you're not quite clear on which supervisory district that you would like those communities of interest to be in. Am I correct?
Yeah, so to be clear, we understand that the way that the maps are drawn, it's not necessarily possible to have Koreatown in the same district as us. But if the lines were shifted or the borders were shifted to keep Koreatown whole in SD2, we would support that.
Okay. All right, thank you.
And I was just going to say, if you would like to provide us with written comments that outline your position more fully, then that would certainly be welcome.
Yes, I will do that.
Thank you.
While the next person's being called up, I want to emphasize what Co-Chair Maeda said. If you inadvertently signed into the chat box that you wanted to speak, you will not be in the queue unless it's your raised hand. I noticed, for example, there's a Charlie Ariola. That individual should fill out the QA in order to speak.
And up Christian Cardenas now. Elijah Flores, you will be next. Christian, you have 1 minute once you begin to speak.
Hi, Commissioners. My name is Christian Cardenas, and I am a lifelong resident of Lincoln Heights in SD1. I want to say that I think F1 is the best map currently. With some tweaks, it can truly be representative and keep the communities of interest together. And I'm speaking primarily about like the east side and Commerce, Montebello, and Pico Rivera. We're very similar communities, and please keep them in Supervisual District 1. I have many connections. Just as an example, my father and my partner live there. I spend a lot of time going back and forth. And you know what? All I say is just, we're primarily Latino communities. Do have similar goals, just wanting the best education for our children. And SD1 has traditionally been a working class majority Latino district, and I kindly ask that you keep that way. And I definitely support F1 as opposed to B2, because I feel that B2 has some packing that wouldn't give the black and brown communities the representation commensurate to like population percentages in LA County. So no to B2, and please, keep Commerce, Montebello, and Pico Rivera in SD1. Thank you.
Can I ask a question of Mr. Cardenas? I'm curious whether you could point to any parts of SD1 that we could remove. If we add Montebello and Pico Rivera and Commerce, we'll have to remove some population. Are there parts of SD1 that you think are not part of the same community of interest?
I'm trying to like zoom into the map a little bit. Yeah, it is definitely a little bit hard to. But just off the top of my head, I can't name one, but just more affluent communities that with different demographics. More, I guess, like in the northern area. So I can't name a specific one, but just I guess that's what I mean.
All right, thank you. I admit it was an unfair question without having the map up, but I appreciate your answer.
Thank you. Thank you all. Good night.
Thank you. Elijah Flores, I'm pulling you up now. Wade Major will be next. Elijah, you have 1 minute to talk once you begin to speak.
Hello, good evening, Commissioners. My name is Elijah Flores, and I am a longtime resident of Bella Heights. With some edits, I believe that map F1 is the best map out of the rest. The edit I would like to suggest is to keep Montebello, Commerce, and Pico Rivera in Supervisorial District 1, as they are communities that are very similar to the east side, and Latinx communities have proper representation. I would also like to urge the Commission to reject Map B, as this map would impact Black and Latinx communities by packing the Black communities in South Valley and Latinx communities in the East Side into one district, which would reduce the representation at the county level. Thank you.
Thank you, Elijah. Wade Major is next. Following Wade will be Ivane Abram. Wade, you have 1 minute once you begin to speak.
I'm the Public Works Commissioner in Malibu, speaking for myself. For 36 excruciating hours on Thanksgiving and Black Friday, 15,000 Edison customers were subject to a devastating power shutoff amid a so-called dry hurricane with gusts of up to 90 miles per hour. Nearly all of these 15,000 customers are in District 3, and the only map that maintains the integrity of this area of shared interest is Map B. All other proposed boundaries threaten to make District 3 unmanageable and less safe. You also recently heard from at least one Santa Monica City Council member that they do not wish to be separated from the communities of the Santa Monica Mountains to their west. And yet on November 23rd, the Santa Monica City Council unanimously voted to ask the California Congressional Redistricting Commission to not separate it from the beach communities to the south with which it shares a cog. Santa Monica can't argue to one commission that it belongs with beach communities to the south and then argue the opposite to another commission. The communities in the footprint of the Woolsey Fire and our recent dry hurricane have no such dissonance. Our shared interests are historically established. Please accord us the wise and prudent District 3 boundaries of Map B.
Thank you, Wade. Ivane Abram is up next. Following Ivane will be Josue Alvarado. So Ivane.
And if Ivane could make it clear if they're speaking as Rachel Bishop or Ivane Abram using Rachel Bishop's computer. So please state your name at the beginning.
Doesn't look like they're still on. They're gone. Yeah, I can't. So say you're up next. Okay. Following say will be Mackenzie Wright. So Josue Alvarado, you have 1 minute once you begin to speak.
Thank you so much, Commissioners, for taking the time to hear my comments. I'm a former councilman for the City of Whittier, current LA County Commissioner, and I'm calling in strong support of option G. I think a lot of the comments that were made today in regards to keeping the Asian community whole within District 1, option G does solve that problem. In addition to keeping those communities together, you have Roland Heights and Hacienda Heights that have a religious center for the Asian community that's called Sri Lai Temple, which in District 1, it all is included in that. In regards to SPA 4, which is the LA County service areas that handle homelessness, District 4 remains a good amount of their cities together along with their gateway cities. And it's also partnered with a bunch of other cities. Whittier's also partnered with a bunch of other cities that have already had mutually beneficial projects working together, and we'd like to keep that consistent. Thank you.
Listen.
One recommendation I would make, I do agree that we should go ahead and add Commerce and Pico Rivera to Montebello. You would have to remove Azusa would be my recommendation from District 1.
Thank you. Mackenzie Bright will be up next. Following Mackenzie will be Mark Gomez. Mackenzie, you have 1 minute once you begin to speak.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Mackenzie Bright, calling with the City of Rancho Palos Verdes. On December 7th, the City Council will consider taking a formal position of support on Map B, as it retains the city's connectedness with the other cities on the Palos Verdes Peninsula and the cities in South Bay, and we share many common interests. The city has appreciated the representation it currently has and ability to collaborate on regional issues, as in Map B. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mackenzie. Have Mark Gomez up next. Following Mark will be, we already had Mike up.
We've had a Mark Gomez at El Monte, and he's now, there's a Mike Gomez and there's a Mark Gomez. We've not had a Mark Gomez yet. But we should confirm it's the same Mike Gomez.
There's only, the same one. So Mark Gomez, you'll be up. Kenneth Brooks is off now. So following Mark Gomez will be John Mora, the center base. For Mark Gomez, you have 1 minute once you begin to speak.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you very much for your service to the county. As a San Fernando Valley resident from Panorama City, I urge you to modify Map G to unite the San Fernando Valley into one district. Having heard Councilmember Krikorian speak about Map 78, I looked at it, and this map actually does just that. It modifies Map G to unite the San Fernando Valley into one district. It creates an API district unifying into CD5, unifying the foothill communities of the San Gabriel Valley, something you guys have spoken a lot about. Creates Council Supervisorial District 2 as a 25% Black CDAP district, keeping the historic Black communities together with the assets of UCLA, LAX, and the beach communities, including the Palos Verdes, to remain with Torrance. SD4 is a 53% Latino CDAP district unifying the South Bay cities, and SD1 is a 53% Latino CDAP district with Northeast LA communities unified, with Hollywood unified, with working class communities in the San Gabriel Valley unified. Please pay attention to this map. Thank you very much for your service to the county.
Thanks so much, Mark. Okay, so Mike we've had, Kenneth is not here, Yolanda, this is Rodriguez, but we had a Yolanda Murrieta. I think it's different. It's the same.
I checked, I think it's one of those East Side hubs that are sharing computers, so it's a different Yolanda. It's Yolanda Rodriguez.
Pull her up. So Yolanda Rodriguez, you can speak. 1 minute once you begin.
Buenas noches, comisionados. Mi nombre es Yolanda Rodríguez y soy líder comunitario y residente del Distrito Supervisorial 1 y he vivido en mi comunidad por los últimos 32 años. Hoy estoy aquí para apoyar el mapa F1, cual es el único mapa que nos toma en cuenta. Sin embargo, este mapa necesita modificaciones y traer a las comunidades de Commerce, Montebello y Pico Rivera al distrito número 1. Estas comunidades nos une la cultura y el deseo de mejorar nuestras vidas. Somos comunidades inmigrantes que trabajamos para sobresalir y para darle un mejor futuro a nuestras familias. El Distrito de Supervisión 1 siempre ha sido un área de bajos ingresos, predominantemente de raíces latinas, y también unido por nuestra lucha para tener mejoras en la vivienda y las escuelas. Por último, me gustaría pedirle a los comisionados que no aprueben el mapa B2, ya que esto disminuye la representación en el condado de las comunidades afroamericanas del sur centro de Los Ángeles, y no es buen mapa. Gracias por su tiempo y consideración. Que tengan buenas noches.
Heather, before you pull up the next one, I just want to confirm Kenneth Brooks was not available.
He is not available. Elizabeth Cable is next, I believe. Yes. So Elizabeth, I'm sorry I didn't give you a heads up. So Elizabeth Cable. Elizabeth, I believe, will be Tanya McKenzie. So Elizabeth, once you begin to speak, you have 1 minute.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my question is just if there were any voting rights analysis conducting before considering the placement of the district lines, and if so, have the results of the analysis has been made accessible to the public.
So this is Co-Chair Maeda. We have had consultants who are voting polarization analysis, voting rights analysis experts speak to us. We've answered many questions. I can't remember exactly which is the most lengthy time in which he did that, in which they did that. But it will, we can figure that out and try to get you that answer. It is all the meetings are available. Links to the meetings are all available on our website, links to YouTube meetings, recordings and so forth. So that has been done, and we are in regular contact with them as well.
I just wanted to announce it's 7:55, so the public has 5 more minutes to sign up. Also for Elizabeth Cable and other members of the public, I'll put my name and email into chat, and you can send me that question. I can let you know where to find that report on our website.
Thank you so much.
Up next is Tanya McKenzie. Following Tanya will be Beatriz Sotero. So Tanya, you have 1 minute once you begin to speak.
Great. Good evening. I hope you can hear me. It's Tanya McKenzie. I'm LA County Commissioner, District 4. I'm an African-American woman living in beach cities, the coastal cities, and I want to really deliver my support for MAP B2. Listen, we have a growing minority population in these communities, and we need to continue the work that we have been doing with the leadership that we currently have. Beach cities has more in common with San Pedro and Long Beach than Malibu and West Valley, and FMAP would put us there in the valleys, which doesn't really help with the issues that we are working on. We're also knee-deep in environmental issues. So we need the leadership that's really able to tackle some of these things like the Huntington Beach oil spill and the things that come up here. It's incredibly important, and most importantly, it's the least gerrymandering district at this point. So MAP B2 for us is hugely important for us to continue the work. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Tanya. Beatriz Soltero. Begin to speak. You'll have 1 or 2 minutes.
Hola, buenas noches, comisionado. Muchas gracias por su dedicación en este trabajo y a Zaira Soto por elevar la importancia de nuestras voces. Mi nombre es Beatriz Soltero y soy residente del este de Los Ángeles. Quiero expresar que el mapa F1 es el mejor para edificar. Este mapa tiene el potencial para asegurar que nuestras comunidades de interés se mantengan juntas y al mismo tiempo proteger las voces de nuestras comunidades afroamericanas en el Distrito 2, para que puedan elegir a alguien que represente más a su comunidad. Commerce, Montebello y Pico Rivera necesitan estar bajo el mismo Distrito 1. Montebello es un lugar donde comúnmente nos la pasamos con la familia visitando nuestros restaurantes favoritos, en los que estamos unidos por nuestra cultura, lenguaje y resistencia. Es importante que nos aseguremos de avanzar en el mapa que mantenga juntas las comunidades de interés. El Distrito Superficial 1 ha sido históricamente un predominante latino de bajos ingresos. Gracias por su tiempo. Dios los bendiga.
Thank you. I'll be pulling up Eileen Hupp next. Following Eileen will be Martha Aguilar.
And after Martha Aguilar, we will go ahead and take our break. Let's go ahead and hear from those 2 minutes.
Eileen, you have 1 minute once you begin to speak.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you so much. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Eileen Hupp. I am President and CEO of the Palos Verdes Peninsula Chamber of Commerce. I am also an active member of the League of Women Voters, the Palos Verdes Peninsula and San Pedro chapter, and I have lived and worked on the Palos Verdes Peninsula for 35 years. So on behalf of the over 400 businesses who are members of the Palos Verdes Peninsula, we would like to advocate on behalf of MAP B2 for the simple fact that it is extremely important to keep the Palos Verdes Peninsula aligned with the San Pedro community. Our history, our economy, our community organizations are inextricably linked and center on the fact that both the San Pedro community and the Palos Verdes Peninsula community are harbor communities. The impact of the port is part of our development, and our communities have grown up together over 100+ years. Therefore, on behalf of the Palos Verdes Peninsula Chamber of Commerce, we would advocate that you keep San Pedro and the Palos Verdes Peninsula together. Thank you.
Thank you, Eileen. Martha Aguilar, you can now speak.
Buenas noches, comisionados. Mi nombre es Marta Aguilar y soy residente de Boyo Heights y líder comunitario. Hoy estoy aquí para apoyar el mapa F1 con modificaciones porque es el único mapa que nos favorece y asegura que nosotros los latinos seamos representados porque nos mantiene en el Distrito 1. Hemos trabajado muchos años para asegurar que las necesidades de nuestras comunidades jóvenes, de nuestros vecinos e inquilinos sean escuchados por nuestro distrito. Por eso es necesario que el Distrito 1 incluya a nuestros vecinos como es Montebello, Commerce y Pico Rivera. Estas comunidades son igual a nosotros, de Boyo Heights. Tenemos en común cultura, gastronomía y nos sentimos en familia con nuestros vecinos. Muchas personas de nuestros vecinos trabajan, estudian y hacen sus compras en estas ciudades. Estamos pidiendo que se unan porque unidos seremos más fuertes. Por último, espero que nos escuchen los representantes y tomen en cuenta nuestras peticiones. Gracias a todos ustedes. Buenas noches.
Okay, as we had previously decided as a commission, we would go for an hour and a half at these public hearings and then take a 10-minute break. Let's do that. The public, if you have already signed up, then you will be allowed to speak until we're done. But otherwise, the signups are not closed since it's beyond 8 o'clock, I believe. Okay, 10 minutes. Thank you very much.
Okay, folks, this is Roy Humphreys, your cameraman, and this was done so to give people in the community, anybody watching the YouTube channel, and as you can see, they've already said that the full other meetings are on YouTube, etc. I'm not going to bore you with detail if you want to go back and see them, because this is a arduous, painstaking, but rewarding process. It's very important. It's going to change and do a lot of things differently for the next 10 years. And they're doing it on the federal level and on every city level also. But Rolling Heights is not a city, so we don't have to concern ourselves with that yet till we become a city.
Come turn my 8 out.
Okay, they're coming back. So we're just going to turn it off. You can go online. This will be on the buzz so forth. Bye.